American culture before electricity was slower and less efficient because everything was done manually. Electricity improved the workplace by leaving manual labor and using machines to get jobs done quicker. In home, electricity provided heat to make cooking easier and led to more home appliances. Electricity impacted transportation in a positive way to get around easier. American culture was impacted by electricity because it impacted the workplace environment, it impacted homes in a beneficial way, and it made transportation easier and affordable.
As electricity started to gain its fame in the 1920s, it earned a very strong hold in the workplace. Now, there was many new technological advances, such as Bell's Telephone Laboratories mechanism for recording sound electrically, Westinghouse's D-ion circuit breaker, and the development of the expansion type circuit breaker by Fritz Kesselring of Siemens. Bell's telephone mechanism for recording sound electrically helped the music and record companies with the beginning of the manufacturing of microphones, electronic amplifiers, and electromagnetic disc recorders for the production of record discs. This all seemed like a great plan until there was a realization that there was a lack of a way to amplify the telephone signal, which made many of these recordings weak compared to simply shouting in a recording horn. Westinghouse's D-ion circuit breaker and the development of the expansion type circuit breaker by Fritz Kesselring of Siemens was meant to help a lot of houses and factories from burning down when there was too much electricity being used at one single time. This led to many of the manufacturing of these devices so that every house and factory would be supplied with them so that less fires would occur. In 1921, R.W. Shenton highlighted the growth of a new profession, the illuminating engineer. This occupation was the very first to appreciate the differences between light and illumination. The now illuminating engineers felt they needed to develop new units of measurement to express relations. These engineers had produced a high degree of illumination that wouldn't be harmful. Instead, it could be more helpful and beneficial to all. Motor repair work also increased tremendously. As first viewed as a side job for most contractor dealers, it was now substantial business, especially in large cities where there was a lot of electric motors in factories. Electricity also helped with safety in the workplace. Electricity gave the ability to have machines take over work in the workplace. That meaning, no longer were people having to do the same amount of work by hand, but now they could use the machines, and a lot of these machines could take over, making the work safer, yet that meaning there was less work to be done in general, leading to many people having to find new jobs. From 1919 to 1929, the manufacturing input rose by 64%.
Made it a lot easier for people who did manual labor inside the house. Before electricity, people had to use wooden stoves, which made the kitchen walls black and left ashes, which had to be emptied twice a day. Washing clothes was done outside in a huge vat of boiling water, and a wooden spoon was used to stir the clothes. Ironing had to be done on a wooden stove, and it only retained heat for a short amount of time. Fridges were ice boxes, and that's how you would store your food. Water had to be carried from a stream or lifted from one bucket at a time from a well. When it came to bathing, it was done outside during the summer, in the creek. And in the winter, you had to boil out the water and pour it into a wash tub. Rugs were taken outside and beaten by a broom to dust out. All the kids had to sit by one lamp to study. The lamp gave about 25 watts of light. After electricity came into town, an electric stove was invented by Thomas Ahearn. It used less fuel and didn't blacken the walls. Also, it didn't spit out dangerous sparks. The electric stove cooked quicker. An electric clothes washer included an agitator, and more than two-thirds of the U.S. owned an automatic washing machine. Savage Arms Corporation of New York invented the spin dryer, and it would be quicker to dry clothes. After the sad iron and gas irons, Henry W. Seeley invented the electric iron. Fridges weren't ice boxes anymore. Refrigerators were powered by steam and were large and noisy. People who lived in the town had indoor plumbing and running water before farms did. Electricity made it possible for pumping water into indoor pipes. Public health got better with running water, and sinks were much better than having buckets of water into the house. Then came the vacuum to clean up dusty rugs. Murray Springler created it because of his allergies. Electric lights were a vast improvement over the gas lamps and candles. You could dim the light or make it brighter.
The introduction of electricity to our culture had a big impact because it allowed us to move faster, go farther, and carry more with us. America went from using horses to cars because they were just better than horses. You could hop in a Model T and go to another city in hours instead of days. Also, trolleys and buses were used for cheap transportation since not everyone could afford a car. Trolleys were used often in cities because they only ran on electricity and tracks were placed on roads to move people faster. The main car manufacturing companies were Ford, which was a more affordable option, and Rolls-Royce, which aimed for the wealthier class. More than 15 million Americans owned a Ford Model T because it was a reliable and cheap car to buy during the time. Since cars were becoming popular, people started to make real roads for the cars. All of these roads have been improved and most of them are still around today. The dawn of aviation began during this time, where aircraft were used during World War I. Aircraft were also used to transport people and cargo. During World War I, many different aircraft were made. For example, the Glenn Martin bomber was used to drop bombs on the enemy. The Bluebird was used for dogfighting, and the military balloons were used for spying on the enemy. But aircraft weren't just used by the military. New airports began to open which allowed people to travel to new places much faster. Around 50,000 people were flying in a 10-year period, and that number has only grown. Trains were already around, but there were many new improvements that were added. All the tracks were made universal, which allowed any train company to use the tracks without having to worry about the different sizes of the track. Also, the power of a train was increased, which allowed more people to ride the train or allowed more cargo to be moved. The one final improvement is that there were more tracks laid down than before, which helped people move to places faster.
So after looking at all the innovation that has been seen, because of electricity, we can say that American culture has forever been changed. Many would say it has been changed for the better, but yet some would disagree, because this also created a culture of laziness and individuals who are highly dependent on electricity for every aspect of human life. Although this might be true, the positive aspects of electricity outweigh the negative aspects. Because of the electricity, humans were able to achieve much greater things never thought to be possible. Electricity has made a huge impact on the way humans interact at their workplace and how they work, thus rendering manual labor almost worthless. Electricity has also made a huge impact on transportation, making cars, planes, and trains much faster and durable, allowing for comfortable traveling around the country and even the world. The change doesn't just stop there. The home is highly changed, making indoor lighting possible and having all new appliances available to the average home. Electricity has opened a whole new door to the world, making almost anything possible, thus having a huge impact on American culture and humans in America.